Today, we're counting down the top 10 mistakes RVers make every single fall. Some are just annoying, others, silent assassins that sneak up on you in December and will leave you crying at the repair shop in April. Stick around. The last 3 are the ones that really wreck your RV and your wallet. Let's get started. Number 10. Tire care isn't optional. When people think about winterizing, their minds usually jump straight to water lines, tanks, and the dreaded antifreeze. Tires? Not so much. But let's be honest, your RV isn't going anywhere if the tires don't survive the winter. And unlike pipes or tanks, a damaged tire isn't just inconvenient, it's a safety hazard. Yes, tires should absolutely be part of your winterization checklist. Why? Sitting in one spot all winter is surprisingly brutal on rubber. Sunlight, ozone, and fluctuating temperatures can cause cracking, drying, and deterioration. Think of it like leaving a rubber band in the sun for months. When you try to stretch it in the spring, it snaps. Same idea, only with a lot more weight and a lot less fun. This is where tire covers come in. White covers are ideal because they reflect sunlight and keep tires cooler, prolonging their life. Black covers are fine, but they absorb heat, which can speed up rubber aging. Kind of like leaving your car in a sauna for months. Installing tire covers is a cheap, easy way to protect a very expensive part of your RV. It's not just about UV and sun exposure, though. Tires left on the ground for months can develop flat spots due to constant pressure and changing ground conditions. The result? Rolling off in spring feels like driving on squares instead of circles. Not exactly the smooth start to a road trip you were hoping for. Using a surface barrier, wooden blocks, or slight elevation to relieve weight from the tires can prevent this. Rotate or reposition them once or twice in the winter if possible, just to give the rubber a break. Don't forget tire pressure. Cold weather can slowly bleed air out of tires, leaving them underinflated and prone to damage. Check pressure before storage and again in spring. Even a few pounds difference can make a noticeable impact on wear and performance. The takeaway? Cover the tires, elevate if you can, keep them properly inflated, and protect them from both sun and moisture. A few minutes of care now beats a pricey springtime tire replacement. Or worse, an unexpected blowout on your first trip of the season. Proper tire maintenance during storage isn't glamorous, but it's essential. Do it right, and your RV will roll smoothly come spring. Skip it, and your first drive back might feel like an off-road adventure you didn't sign up for. Number 9. Skipping appliances and propane systems. When winterizing, most RVers focus on pipes and tanks, and that makes sense. But here's the kicker. Your appliances and propane system deserve just as much attention. Ignore them, and you could be greeted in spring with smells, damage, or worse, a small-scale disaster that could have been avoided. Start with your appliances. That fridge and freezer, they're not just storage units, they're potential science experiments in the making. If you leave food, crumbs, or even damp filters inside, you might open the doors in April and feel like a mad scientist stumbled through while you were gone. Mold and mildew thrive in sealed, damp environments. And once they settle in, cleaning them out is no joke. Think of it as a chore that's way worse than your holiday decorating. Pro tip: defrost completely, wipe everything down, and leave the doors slightly ajar so air can circulate. Closed doors may seem safe, but they're basically a welcome mat for mold. Don't stop at the fridge. Microwaves, ovens, coffee makers, and even washers can harbor moisture or forgotten food particles. Those stray crumbs you didn't see in December? By March, they could be home to uninvited guests. No, not the relatives you like. A little cleaning now saves a lot of headaches and bad smells later. Now, propane. This isn't just about convenience, it's about safety. Leaving tanks or lines active while your RV sits in storage is like leaving a gas stove on while you go on vacation. Dangerous and unnecessary. Cold weather can cause fittings to contract, potentially leading to leaks. You don't want the first thing greeting you in spring to be the smell of propane or a costly repair. Here's your checklist. Shut off propane completely. Inspect hoses and connections for cracks or wear, and consider a professional check if the system is older or has shown issues in the past. For appliances, clean thoroughly, remove any residual moisture, defrost, and leave doors slightly open. These steps keep your RV fresh, safe, and ready to roll when the season changes. The takeaway: appliances and propane systems aren't as obvious as pipes, but skipping them can cost time, money, and peace of mind. Spend a little extra effort now, and you'll avoid unpleasant surprises later, like opening your fridge to a science experiment or discovering a propane leak before your first road trip of the season. Number 8. Indoor storage solves all problems. For a lot of RVers, parking the rig indoors feels like crossing the finish line. You back it into a garage, barn, or rented unit. Safe and sound. It's a comforting thought, but also the mistake. Indoor storage might keep snow off the roof and sun off the paint, but it's not some magical force field that blocks out every possible problem. Here's the reality. Not all indoor storage is created equal. Sure, if you've got a climate-controlled facility, that's fantastic. Your RV will be living better than some people's apartments. But stick it in a drafty barn with dirt floors and a few freeloading mice? Different story. Even with a roof over its head, your RV is still dealing with enemies like moisture, pests, and wild temperature swings. Let's start with moisture. Without ventilation, humidity builds up inside. That leads to condensation dripping onto walls and fixtures. Before long, mold and mildew have RSVP'd for an extended stay on your cabinets, upholstery, and curtains. And mold isn't shy. It spreads fast, smells worse than a forgotten gym bag, and takes a ton of effort to clean up. Meanwhile, rust is silently creeping in on exposed metal parts, because damp air doesn't care that your rig is indoors. And then there are the temperature swings. Just because your RV isn't sitting in a snowbank doesn't mean it's safe from freezing. If your indoor space isn't heated, water lines and tanks are still in danger. Plenty of owners have bragged, "Oh, I keep mine inside. No need for antifreeze," only to discover cracked pipes when spring rolls around. Roof or no roof, cold air is still cold air. Even the little critters can't resist. A warm, quiet RV parked in a barn is basically a luxury condo for mice. They'll move right in, chew through wiring, and act like they're paying rent. So what's the move? Think of indoor storage as a helpful tool, not a full solution. Winterize your rig just as carefully as you would if it were sitting outside. If you can swing it, go for climate-controlled. If not, ventilate the space, use moisture absorbers, and check in regularly. Walk through, look for dampness, sniff for mildew, and keep an eye out for any uninvited rodent tenants. Number 7. Waiting too long to winterize. Procrastinators, this one's for you. The worst timing mistake RVers make is waiting until the first freeze warning to start winterizing. The problem is, one cold night is all it takes for damage to begin. And depending on where you are, freezing temps can sneak up earlier than you think. Maybe you're traveling, or maybe you thought you had a few more weeks. All it takes is one surprise frost, and suddenly you've got frozen water lines. And here's the kicker. You won't even know until spring, when the leaks start showing up. How to fix this? Well, this one's almost a no-brainer. Don't gamble. Start winterizing when temperatures begin dipping into the 40s regularly, especially overnight. If you're still using your RV late into the season, have a plan for quick winterization the second the forecast shifts. It's way better to be early than to roll the dice and lose. Number 6. Forgetting about storage compartments. When people think about winterizing their RVs, the big stuff usually steals all the attention. Water lines, tanks, antifreeze, propane. But one of the most overlooked areas is actually the simplest, the storage bins and compartments. And trust me, if you forget about them, they'll remind you in the most unpleasant way possible when spring rolls around. Why? Because people forget things in there. Fresh water hoses still full of water, half-empty cleaning bottles, or worse. Battery-powered lanterns that sit all winter until the batteries explode like a bad science fair project. And let me tell you, nothing says, "Welcome back to camping season," like opening a compartment to find a hose that smells like pond water and a lantern that looks like it leaked acid for 6 months. It's like a messy reminder that procrastination is not your friend. The fix here is surprisingly easy, but it does take a little discipline. Before you call winterizing done, open every single bin and compartment. Drain every hose, toss out anything liquid, and pull the batteries from anything with a switch. Don't assume it'll be fine. It really won't. Bottom line, storage bins are out of sight, but they shouldn't be out of mind. A quick double check now saves you from starting your camping season with stinky hoses, dead gadgets, and the joy of cleaning up a mini chemical spill. Number 5. Forgetting the cupboards. This one's a classic rookie mistake. People winterize the plumbing but forget about the cupboards. Let me paint you a picture of what could go wrong. Liquids freeze and expand. That soda can? Poof! Now it's redecorated your cabinet walls. Glass jars crack. Congratulations! You now own a salsa explosion. Food attracts pests. Even if it doesn't freeze, critters will happily snack on your forgotten crackers all winter. I've heard horror stories of people opening their RV in spring and finding sticky residue dripping down every shelf. Others discover mouse droppings in every drawer. Not exactly how you want to start a camping season. How to fix it? Take out every single liquid. Water bottles, canned drinks, sauces, condiments. Clear out all the food too, even non-perishables. Leave the fridge and freezer doors propped open to prevent mold. Think of it like moving out of an apartment. If you don't want to find it exploded or half-eaten months later, don't leave it behind. Number 4. Forgetting the batteries. Every year, RV'ers leave their batteries sitting in the rig while it's parked for winter. Let me fill you in on why that's a terrible idea. Cold drains batteries faster than normal. If a battery actually freezes, it's done for. You can't save it. Worst case, a frozen battery cracks and leaks acid, and that's a whole new problem. Let me rephrase. That's a whole new expensive problem. Batteries aren't cheap. Replacing them every spring because you didn't store them properly is like burning money in the snow, if you catch my drift. How to fix it? Remove your batteries and store them somewhere cool and dry. Not outside, not in the garage where it freezes, but also not next to your fireplace. You can also put them on a trickle charger or top them off every month or so. If you've got more than one battery, label them so you know where each one goes back in the spring. Think of it as tucking them in for a long nap. Take care of them now, and your batteries will wake up ready to go when you are. Okay, remember when I said at the start that the last 3 mistakes are the silent killers? Yeah, this is that part of the list. We're moving out of the well-duh territory and into the stuff people forget until it's way too late. These are the things that sneak up on you, like calories in holiday eggnog. And first up in the sneaky but deadly category, tanks. Number 3, tanks. Here's the thing about RV tanks. They don't forgive and they sure do not forget. A lot of folks assume, I drained it pretty good. What's a little leftover water gonna do? I'll tell you what that little leftover water is gonna do. Because unless you want to be serving or brushing your pearly whites with eau de swamp water at your next camping trip, you don't want to leave anything behind in your fresh gray or black tanks. Let's start with the fresh water tank. Sounds innocent enough, right? It's just water. But when you let it sit through the winter, even a few inches of just water turns into a science experiment. Picture slimy film, questionable floaties, and that funky taste that makes you rethink brushing your teeth ever again. Next spring, you'll turn on your faucet expecting clean, refreshing water and instead get a whiff of something that smells like it was bottled in the bayou. Nobody's signing up for that. Now, the gray tank. This is where your sink and shower water goes, so already we're talking soap scum, food particles, and whatever you rinsed off your cutting board after that chilly dinner. Leave just a little behind, and by next season, you're going to open that valve and get hit with an odor that could knock the socks off a skunk. Think of it like leaving dirty dishwater in the sink for 5 months straight. By the time you're ready to use your RV again, you'll wish you had a hazmat suit. And then, the black tank. You know what goes in there, and I don't need to get too graphic. But here's the shady truth. Even if you think you drained it all, a little bit always likes to linger. That little bit is basically plotting revenge all winter long. When warm weather rolls back around, it'll make its presence known with a stench so powerful, you'll start questioning your life choices. You'll open the RV door and think, did something crawl in here and die? Nope, just your poor tank management haunting you. What to do? Drain all tanks completely. If you need to, use a tank flush or cleaning wand to get everything out. You also want to double check that your hose is secure before you open the valve. Then, let everything drip dry before you close it up for the season. Trust me, it's worth spending an extra 20 minutes now to avoid springtime smells that stick with you forever. Number 2. Hidden fixtures and exterior details. When it comes to winterizing, everyone remembers the kitchen sink. It's right there in the middle of everything, practically waving its arms. But the other fixtures? The ones hiding in the corners, tucked behind panels, or quietly attached to the outside of your rig. They don't speak up, and that's how people end up with costly spring repairs. Here's the truth. If water goes through it, it needs compressed air or antifreeze. Period. And yes, that means every last line, fixture, and faucet. Toilets, outdoor showers, washing machines, even the humble little ice maker. These often get skipped because people assume, oh, I don't really use that one. Unfortunately, water doesn't care how often you used it in July. If there's liquid sitting in the line in January, it's going to freeze. Frozen water expands, and when it expands, it wreaks havoc. The worst part? These fixtures are usually hidden away, so you won't notice the problem until spring, when you flip a switch and suddenly you've got an unwanted water feature in your cabinets. And then there are the exterior fixtures. RVs often have outdoor faucets, spigots, or external showers. Out of sight, out of mind, until the plastic or metal cracks over winter. By the time warmer weather returns, you might spot water running down the side of your rig, and trust me, that's not the waterfall view you were hoping for. While you're outside, take a moment to inspect the seals and gaps around your windows and doors. They might look like tiny cracks, but in the winter, they're like neon vacancy signs for cold air, moisture, and even pests. And nothing ruins the excitement of opening your RV in April faster than finding a family of mice has turned your pantry into their personal grocery store. So, how do you prevent this mess? Run antifreeze or compressed air through every single line. Flush toilets, run the outdoor shower, and cycle the washer if you're lucky enough to have one in your rig. For exterior faucets, drain them completely and winterize as carefully as you would the main fixtures. Then do a slow walk around of your rig. Reseal any gaps, fix suspicious caulking, and as a bonus, toss in some pest deterrents if you're parking in a rural area. Think of it this way. A few minutes of extra attention now beats the shock of cracked pipes, soaked cabinets, or chewed wiring later. Number 1. Water heater mistakes. Let's all imagine that the water heater is like that friend who always needs special instructions. You can't just treat it like everything else. It wants attention. The big mistake? Forgetting to bypass the water heater before adding antifreeze or compressed air. If you don't flip that bypass valve, everything you're pumping through the system ends up filling the water heater tank. That's gallons of wasted antifreeze, money almost literally down the drain. And worse, you'll spend all spring trying to flush that chemical taste and smell out of your hot water. Antifreeze-flavored oatmeal, anyone? Then there's the second part. People forget to turn off and depressurize the water heater before draining it. Imagine cracking open the drain plug while the system's still under pressure. Best case, you get an unwanted hot shower. Worst case, you damage the tank and have to shell out hundreds for a replacement. How to fix it? Always flip the bypass valve before adding antifreeze and then double-check that the water heater is off, cooled down, and depressurized before draining. This step takes maybe 5 minutes, but it saves you from wasting antifreeze, scalding yourself, or wrecking one of the most expensive appliances in your RV. Bonus tip. Alright, before we wrap this up, I've got one last nugget for you. Call it a pro hack. If you're new to RVing or unsure about the process, invest in a professional winterization. Even once every couple of years is worth the peace of mind. And if you're DIYing it, slow down. Double-check every line, every tank, every valve. And there you have it, the 10 things RVers forget when winterizing. From water heater mishaps, hidden lines, and messy tanks, to batteries, tires, appliances, and yes, even thinking indoor storage solves everything. Each step matters. Skipping one can turn your cozy winter retreat into a springtime nightmare. Take a little extra time now. Drain everything, flush the lines, cover the tires, check your seals, clean the pantry, shut off the propane, and give your RV a proper winter send-off. Your future self and your wallet will thank you when you open the doors in spring and everything works perfectly. Got a winterization horror story? Or a trick that saved you last year? Drop it in the comments. I mean, we've all learned the hard way at least once. Share the knowledge, save someone else from a soda explosion, and make sure your RV stays happy all winter long. Drop your stories in the comments so we can commiserate together. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around. We've got plenty more RV tips coming your way. Until then, stay warm, stay safe, and keep your RV winter ready.